the UN is created out of World War II because of the horrors of World War II. Because there weren't like all the things we talk about. Like there are rules in war. You can't just like wantonly bomb civilians. Like all of that came from World War II because humanity looked at that and they were like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" Am I allowed to swear?
Oh,
Fuck
100%.
No fucking swearing
No,
here.
fuck. Sorry,
no
sorry.
effing and jeffing.
All right, fuck.
This is a family channel.
Sorry about that. You know what I mean? Like, that's the history of it. All these norms, all these agreements, all this never again are we gonna like fight like that. Obviously we want to avoid genocide, and to see that be made a mockery, like to see how hollow that is, I think it's a real moment for us as like a species. I mean, I think let's say the West, well, like the US, like all of us up here in the West, I think like we've got there's some soul searching to do, and I think the idea of international law, UN peacekeepers, that's all awesome. Let's actually like make it work, make it actually like be consistent, because it shouldn't just be for when there's like a conflict in Africa and there's no power, like, or resources or whatever or our allies involved.
There is that strange irony as well about the group of people who were the most oppressed in our modern history are now the oppressors. The group of people who faced elimination, like Palestinians in Gaza, are now the ones attempting to, responsible for, if they got it their way, might eliminate the citizens and civilians in Gaza. It's a bizarre thought to go from being the smallest, weakest kid on the last day of school and getting bullied by everyone to going through a growth spurt. And the first day back at school, you're the biggest bully and everyone bows to you. It's a strange sort of dynamic.
I don't find it bizarre at all, because when this all started, we talked to a friend of ours who's Israeli and not a Zionist, and we sort of were like, how could we do this as a people? How could Israel do this? And she said, what, do you think we're different from other people? Yeah, people are the same. And I think if I want people to learn one lesson from this, it's that I really do believe that either you can like deepen your humanity and choose to recognize, your fellow humans when you've gone through like something like that kind of trauma, or you can say, hey, I'm in it for myself, survival of the fittest. And you hear Israelis say this, like I try to understand their psychology because I don't get it. Yeah. And they'll say things like, if it's not their kids, it's my kids, and I choose my kids. Like, imagine that mindset, And
how about everyone's kids? How about we look after everyone's kids?
How about just kids? We like kids. Yeah. We love our kids. We don't want any kids to be harmed. Yeah. So like I really believe that. Like, I think like some people, and so what, I don't think it's ironic. I actually think it makes sense in a way. I think this, and Israelis, sometimes they'll talk to you about it, and they'll say things like this. They were like, they looked at what happened in the Holocaust, and they said, well, I don't want to be in the camp, so I need to be the God. And that's the two roles that we, and that's the internalization of that horror. And like Israelis, I've had articles, if you can go look up articles written about me in the Israeli press, calling me like weak and like like they actually have this loathing for Jewish people in the diaspora. And a lot of the time Holocaust survivors were mistreated because there's this like hatred of weakness. This is fascism, man.
Yeah.
Any group of people can be fascist, and this is what Jewish fascism looks like. And that's why, I've been on this journey to protect the idea of diaspora Jewishness, because a lot of Jewish culture, Jewish thought, like, gosh, we love writing. We're creative people. Like, there's so much to like draw from, but is totally opposed to this, and is actually like, this is not reconcilable with how I was brought up and my Jewish value, my values generally, but my Jewish values. And it's actually like, people, sometimes we were at these protests and people will be like, kind of treat us like, oh, you're so amazing for you're so charitable, or you're such an ally. And I want to tell people, I'm here for Palestinians, but I'm actually here for me too, because this is like a grave insult to my whakapapa. This is actually like a grave insult, and I can't let it stand, Like, my grandfather was he escaped Germany in the 1930s. I don't want to call him a Holocaust survivor, because he was never like, he escaped. But he and his whole family were killed in Lithuania as well. So it was just him and his brother and sister got on a boat, didn't know where it was going, refugees, nothing, but like their clothes on their back, built a life in South Africa. They were very upset to end up in South Africa. They thought they were going to New York, ended up in South Africa. Okay, we can't get everything we want. So that's where I come into the picture, being South African. But like his whole view of the world was totally like, he, like when they said never again, he meant it. And he meant like he hated racism. He was a trade unionist. He was a socialist. Like I'm insulted. I'm insulted to have my culture and my family, like I feel like my family's name being dragged through the mud by this disgusting fascist country.